This clip is dedicated to what to do when facing a weaker opponent. And of course, regarding practical play, there are sometimes better strategies to employ against somebody who is on paper an inferior player. Now, clearly, when I talk about a weaker opponent, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Of course, some people may disagree that he's weaker and so on and so forth, but certainly if you look at ELO ratings and there is somebody who is vastly lower than you according to the ELO rating, then I think that's a pretty good indication that somebody is weaker. And I've actually got a game here against Mario Gavilan, which took place only a short while ago in the second International Jaén Open that took place in Spain, and I'm black in this position after 7 moves. And we're at a point in the tournament where I'm on 2 out of 2. I'm black against somebody who is 150 points lower rated than me and who I should really be beating most of the time. Now, the opening was something that I wasn't particularly happy with, I must admit. He played an exchange Spanish, and we reached the following position after 6 moves. And in this position, Mario played Rook D1. Now, of course, I should make something very clear. Mario is by no means a weak player whatsoever. But given the tournament situation, given my ambitions for the tournament, I really felt like I needed to win. And a lot of you out there are going to feel the same thing. So we got to this position after Rook D1, and I had to make a bit of a decision already. White is very solid, but he's also threatening to just go D4, blowing open the position, followed by E5 very quickly. So a sample line could be if I went, I don't know, knight D7. Already D4 is hugely uncomfortable for me. My queen is misplaced, and if E takes D4, E5, already am losing material. So here, the absolutely standard logical move in this position would be to play the move that has actually been played previously by none other than Peter Svidler. And that move is the move Bishop G4. The correct move, objectively the best move. You pin the knight. D4 is now not really a threat because, well, you can probably just take, and take. And if E5, it's possible, but minimum I can play Bishop E7, and it's not clear, but I may even be able to get away with taking here on E5. So Bishop G4, as played by Svidler, and in his game against Smates in 2011, the Dutch Grandmaster, H3 takes, knight E7, and B3 was played. And this position is not really too troublesome for black. Okay, he's slightly inferior, he's got a weak pawn structure, his bishop's not so great, but things are hardly too bad for him. But it is clear that white is never really going to lose his position unless he blunders terribly. He's got good coordination, his pawn structure is better. It is very difficult for black to generate some decent counter chances, some decent play, something dynamic. It's almost impossible in this position. So when I got to this position after Rook D1, I had to make a real decision here because I didn't really want to draw, even though in the end I ended up drawing this game. So I had to think of something a bit more adventurous. So I played the move Queen E7. Definitely not the best move in the position, but from a practical perspective, may have been the best choice, because now D4 I can just take, and if E5, well, the queen is actually pinned, so here Bishop G4, and well, I'm doing absolutely fine. So after Queen E7, noticing that this Bishop G4 move is a bit of a pain for him, Mario played H3, and it's really here where I would like to emphasize the concept of playing practically against weaker opponents, creating dynamic positions where you think you excel. For example, I as many of you might know if you've seen my videos or my games, consider myself to be a player who excels more in dynamic positions, ones with dynamic chances, ones with complications and tactically based positions compared to the slightly dry positions which other players might like. So immediately here, after Queen e7, of course, I saw h3, and my next move, g5, looks absolutely wild, but actually it starts to create imbalances which may be favourable for me because we reach positions which are a bit more muddy, which are a bit more unclear. And it's from those positions where I feel I can start to outplay my opponent. So g5, it's a very interesting move. The point is, I just want to go g4. And of course, well, we can see what happens. White played d4 and I played g4. If White didn't even play d4, let's say he played something slow like c3, he actually has to be really careful because immediately after g4 takes, suddenly I've got my bishop g4 in, but also I've managed to clear the way to go castles queenside and open up the g file. And immediately I'm looking at ways to put the pressure on the white king because it looks a bit vulnerable there. So Mario played d4, which I expected, but I played g4 anyway. And again, if pawn takes pawn, bishop takes pawn, I'm absolutely fine. Pawn takes pawn, bishop takes pawn. The queen is pinned. The queen is pinned, and I'm ready to get developed. So he played the critical move, which is to play knight takes e5. And here, I played g takes h3. I didn't want to play bishop takes e5. I think that's a terrible move because here my dark squares are way too weak, and if white manages to get a bishop on this diagonal, I'm going to be in real trouble. So after knight takes e5, my idea was to play g takes h3, and after g3, I played h5. So we reached a position where, compared to the Smates versus Fiddler game, completely unclear. I wasn't sure when I looked at this position whether white was better, whether black was better. I've looked at it with the computer. Actually, the computer seems to think black is absolutely fine here. I've got ideas of playing my knight out. I've got ideas of opening up the H file or the G file and so on. But the crux of the matter is I've managed to create a position against somebody who's weaker comparatively when it comes to calculation, assessing messy positions and so on. So I think I achieved my objective. I think from a practical perspective, the choice I made was actually a very good one. And in fact, as the game went on, knight c3, knight h6 was played, bishop f4, and now h4. So immediately I'm getting play on the king side. Knight f3, I didn't quite like that move because now that allowed bishop g4. And after e5, well, here it starts to get really complex, but again, this is really what I wanted. I wanted a fight, I wanted a brawl. I played knight f5. I think that's an okay move. The point is the bishop can't really be taken because after takes, bishop takes, I'm threatening all sorts. I'm threatening the knight, but I'm also threatening h takes g3 or an h2 check, or h2 check first, for example, here. Maybe h2 check is just the end of the game. King takes h2, h takes g3, double check. And actually that's just checkmate. So immediately around here I was really feeling good about my chances, and after d5 I missed a real cute way to win. d5 is a mistake. I missed h2 check, and the point is that after king h1, very simply h takes g3. And, you know, he's going to be in big trouble on the king's side. So I missed that. In fact, I erred, allowing him after h takes g3 first and castles queenside to put his king on h2. And again, the game was a complete mess, and it toed and froed, and in the end I managed to draw the game after misplaying it somewhat. But the point is, again, to reiterate, the path I chose all the way back on move 7 gave me great practical options, and in fact, had I played h2 check on move 16, I could have cashed in and perhaps taken the full point. So that's very important. Let's have a look at another game now, where I was black against Grandmaster veteran legend, really, Davorin Komljenovic from the very same tournament. And we reached this position after move 20. And here, white to play Komljenovic played b takes c4. Just a very quick assessment of the position. Well, I'm a pawn down as things stand, but all of my pieces are active. My rook, both of my rooks, both of my knights, and my bishop is active. So here I've got another very important decision to make. Now, Komljenovic, although a grandmaster, was about 70 points lower rated than me. This was a double round day as well, so and it was a morning round, so that was another factor that I had to take into consideration, that perhaps it was more tricky for him to play in the morning, just having woken up and so on. So all of these factors I had to take into consideration, and also I wanted to win because I had an outside chance of getting my final Grandmaster norm. So I felt like I needed to keep things alive, to keep my options open. And given that I felt that I was a stronger calculating player, a stronger tactical player than Komljenovic, I played the move here, 20 knight f4, which keeps the knights on. Knight e2 check is in the air. The f2 pawn is always weak. This piece is hanging. There are all kinds of things going on. Now, actually, perhaps objectively speaking, the best move in the position is to play knight takes e5, winning the pawn back. And the point is that after knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, bishop takes e5, rook takes d7, white wins his pawn, but then I have the nice move rook a4. Now, I saw this, and I win this pawn by force. The point is that if you protect it with the rook, I've got bishop b2, and you can't move the rook off the first rank because of checkmate, so rook b1, and now I can just take on c4. And again, after rook takes b2, rook takes e4, well, I'm threatening mate in 1. He has to spend a tempo to get out. And here, well, I've got a number of ways of playing. I can even go rook f7. And, you know, I'm just never, ever losing this position. It's just a stone cold draw. So I didn't want that. I saw this variation. I couldn't go in for this. By the way, knight g5, the other move that he had here on move 24, would have been met by the same. Rook takes c4. And again, the point is that he can go knight takes e6. It's the same thing. g3, I have to kick the knight away. He takes on e6, but rook e8 and knight d8. I saw this position. And again, you know, I'm going to lose this very, very seldomly. I've got good control. My bishop's well centralized. His knight is way offside now on d8. And 3 versus 2 scenarios, I've got good drawing chances. Objectively, the best move. But this presented me with no winning chances. So knight f4 was a good attempt in that sense. And in fact, immediately after I played this move, Komljenovic erred with knight g3, a big mistake. He was clearly worried about this. So psychologically speaking, worked very well for me, because after knight g3, I landed the blow knight takes g2. Quite a nice little defense destroyer, this knight move. It's not a sacrifice, because the point is after king takes g2, knight e3 check using the pin is absolutely devastating. King g1, and I end up winning the knight as well. A whole exchange up, attacking the bishop, game over. So after knight takes g2, obviously, he was visibly shocked. And it was from this moment where I really didn't have any doubt that I was going to win this game. He played knight g5. I played h6, kicking the knight. Again, king takes g2 runs into knight e3 check. So he moved back with the knight, and now I played knight h4. So keeping the knights on, keeping the pieces on, this is my strategy. Rook takes d7, play knight f3 check, and now I don't know why he played it. Clearly he was either tired or was struggling, but he played king g2, allowing once again knight e3 check. Quite a pretty position really with the knights as they are. But this is now totally hopeless. I win an exchange, and I duly went on to win. So, again, it was, I think that just those games there demonstrate how, if you feel like you are playing a weaker opponent, somebody who is less capable than you in certain positions. And it might not be a tactical scenario. You, for example, might feel you're a stronger player when it comes to slow maneuvering positions, one that don't require tactical operations, ones that require just outplaying and outmaneuvering over a long period of time. If that's the case, base your strategy on that. Don't enter into the tactical operations which your opponent might be more comfortable in. It's all about that. And I feel like those two games there alone really demonstrate how you should be constructing your strategies. So I hope those tips are useful. Let's now move on to the next clip in this series, and one that is equally as important, one where it's going to discuss what happens when you play against stronger opponents. What kind of practical decisions do we need to take into account there? So have a look and hope you enjoyed this.
Hi, this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, the 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from onlinechesslessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending, and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damian for onlinechesslessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.